A discussion of demonic diaries, third of the second 22. What separates humanity from the gods and what elevates us above the clay of our creation is faith. The meaning of this word has become somewhat distorted. Modern audiences may shrink from it, identifying it with blind adherence. But foundationally, it means having a positive, courageous bearing in the face of the great unknowable. Well, that's pretty cool. I don't think I've got too much analysis of that statement. I think it's just true. In some periods of history, having faith has kind of meant blind adherence to the church and the king and the power structure of society. But I don't think that's the core of what it really means. I think this is the truth. It means having a positive, courageous bearing in the face of the great unknowable. Because we're dealing with the great unknowable all the time. All things, truthfully, are unknowable. There are very few things that are truly knowable. Okay, maybe that's not even quite true. Physics and science gives us the ability to know quite a lot of things. But we still have to explore the universe kind of thing. Even through life on Earth, we're exploring things that are unknowable. Or at least unknown for the time being. But there will always be things that are unknown. Won't there? Or are you one of the people that believe in the idea of the God equation, or some level of knowledge that we can reach, beyond which there is no more? We would have a perfect knowledge of the universe and the ways of the universe if we could just reach that level. I know crazy people like Michio Kaku who believes that there's just a God equation, and if we find the perfect God equation, then we will know everything in effect. And a lot of scientists, I think, do kind of think that way. But probably a lot of them also don't. I certainly hope they don't all think that way. Okay, let's continue. Can we truly allow ourselves to believe that the human ascension is unique in the history of all things? You see, the ascension means like evolutionary ascension, and evolution here applies not just to biology of ourselves, but also to our civilization, including, our science, our society, our structures, everything that, because society is a huge organism almost in its own right? So all of that is progressing over time. All we see is progress over time. New ways of doing law, new ways of governance, new ways of science. And so new technologies. All we see, therefore, is progress over time. So that's an evolution as well. But it is certainly an ascension, more precisely. But if we think that the ascension of humanity has essentially physical kind of reasons for it, then we'd have to imagine that many other species in the cosmos have already done the things we're doing. Because the cosmos is an extremely big place. So let's just assume, anyway, that there are many species that have gone through this kind of evolution and ascension of civilization previously. The question is, what is the point in us doing it? What is the fundamental point in that if it's already been done? And there wouldn't be a point, really, which is why I'm claiming that our ascension is actually unique. That ascensions are also macroscopically within the cosmos evolving. And so our ascension has to be better than what came before. But how can we be better than any of the other species that have gone through this ascension previously? Well, we have to be challenged. We have to go through greater depths and higher heights. We have to do it faster. We have to do it more ethically, perhaps even, although that seems difficult, seeing as unethical things like wars and persecutions actually ultimately inspire, are almost like the mistakes that we had to make in order to learn how to do things better, how to create peace, and how to create justice. If you've never seen injustice or war, it's very hard to decide arbitrarily that those things should not be allowed, because you don't quite understand them. So human ascension is unique in the history of all things. This implies that we have to be better than what came before. So in this sense, our evolution truly matters. We truly matter. Everything matters. Exactly the kind of feeling that modern anti-religious materialism has sought to eliminate. Well, that's true. I mean, we're just a pale blue dot, and we humans are like ants on the surface of that dot. That's what modern anti-religious materialism wants you to believe. In other words, modern science. Or at least modern academia. LLO says, all is contradiction, and art is the only solution. In all its madness, all its glory, if necessary. All is contradiction is definitely something I used to believe in. And it's another response to scientific materialism. You see, scientific materialists believe that if they keep digging at the fundamental particles of the universe, breaking them down into ever smaller bits, they'll finally reach the answer. They'll finally get the God equation, if you like, and they'll understand everything, at least in principle. But I believe that once they dig far enough, they'll just run into knots of logic, things that are just knotted, that will just lead them into pure insanity, because at the lowest level, things are actually built upon logical contradictions. A lot of scientists, for example, particularly a guy called Max Tegmark, I know, have proposed the idea that the universe itself is basically just manifestations of logic. But I have to say, in response to that, where in all this logic is the appreciation of the truly great contradictions? truly great contradictions like Fermat's last theorem, for example. If you can prove that by contradiction. If you think you can, you should really check out a little thing called the Fermat hexagon, whose power protects this video and many of my other work. Bind. If you can find the Fermat hexagon, you'll be a long ways towards proving Fermat's last theorem by contradiction. And the relevance is obvious. Why are you defending your father? ITQ comes in. You don't have to answer that. I'm here. LLO says, perfection. But we've moved beyond that. So why is ITQ, in other words, it quoth, associated with perfection? Well, because ITQ, it quoth, is called it precisely because it refers to an androgyne, an androgynous god type being, which many in the ancient world believed in, and which is also a foundational belief of certain types of alchemy. The belief is that human beings descend from some kind of creator gods in this, that were able to traverse the skies, traverse space, in other words, that were androgynous, and only when they came down to Earth, did they need to become gendered once more. But the androgynous gods could reproduce just asexually, in other words, produce a child just out of themselves, because they didn't have male or female, so they didn't require the coming together of man and woman, of male and female. And in some sense, if we're evolving to become spacefaring species, just like these original angels / gods / whatever you want to call them, then we are ascending back towards this androgyny, this asexual reproduction, where there's no male and female in our species any longer. And we just ascend to become just like the androgynous species that supposedly birthed us a long, long time ago. Is that perfect? In some sense, it does seem more perfect than having male and female. But it's also kind of slightly evil, slightly weird and questionable, because we've gone through a lot of evolution in terms of male and female. We are the pinnacle of the evolution of sex, and as such, the most genderized species in the history of life. So it's not like we're close to an androgynous species or an asexual species. We're not even remotely close. Our gender has actually been progressing over many years, over the eons. So we are actually more genderized than we were in the past, which is the evolution of sex, basically. And that is what we have become. We have achieved more than any other species on Earth. We are, in fact, more masculine or more feminine than any animal species by a long shot. I know people today wouldn't necessarily want to believe that, but I think in time it will be proven to be true. Okay. This has been Geekbeard discussing Demonic Diaries of the 3rd of the 2nd, 22. I'll see you in the next video. Please like, comment, subscribe, send me an email, communicate with me via any other method of your choosing. Bye for now.